We're going to do some stuff, and we did the stuff that we said we're going to do, but in the process of doing the stuff that we said we're going to do, we found some other stuff that needs to get done. Following me? Alright, we are making some progress on it. The whole part of the bed rail, this is actually caved down in, and there's a bunch of little dents because it was a ranch truck. So I straightened it back up with a jack and tapped on it. Ultimately, you got to pull a little metal on there because those paintless dent remover, paintless dent remover with no hurting the paint, those guys are good. But down in here, this was tacoed in. Down there had some pitting, so got rid of all that mess. Got to put a little metal on it. We were getting really close. I want to go up the house, get some lunch. I wanted to put another layer of mud on it while I was at lunch. It could be set, but it's pretty dusty in here, so don't want it to get covered. I do have 2 filtration systems in here. There's one up there, and there's one right over here on the lift. But let me give you just a little walk around before the camera battery dies where we're sitting. Keep in mind, this thing did sit bare steel in here for 6 months, and I'll show you the spot that had a little bit of surface rust, and I think there was something leaning against it. But this is coming out really nice. I'm liking this. I started taking down the edge of my Bondo here. I just let it run thick, and then I sand it back nice and easy to the metal. But I need to tidy that up a little bit, tidy up around here, and then going to sand that in. And this stretch of weld, I need to get in there and clean that out, but I need to sand that. I could wait till I come back, and I need to do some more long blocking down in here. You can see the waves. That's a high spot, low spot, high spot, low spot, but that'll fade pretty well without a problem. She's dangerously close, and I probably ought to figure out the tailgate thing before I spray this. I don't want to not do a good job, but I don't want to overdo the job. And by overdo it, it could have been fine on step B, but I'm going to step C, D, maybe E of just layers, and it could have been fine on the second round. That comes with experience, I guess. Well, folks, it has literally been months since you've seen me finish the Bondo work. I mean, we are really close. I should probably do it now rather than after we put paint on it. So we'll get in here with the wire wheel after a minute. But this is what's been holding me up this whole time, was I just didn't want to get around to building the latch for the toolbox. But now we have a latch for the toolbox. I just smashed that out in a couple minutes. Literally took 48 minutes and she's ready to go. Sucks down the center because big stretch of steel like that without any creases in the center. Did some weird stuff. Yeah, my first draft. But I did have a donor truck for early bed, so I got this one. I'm gonna go out there and see if the step side truck has one for over here. If not, I gotta make one of those. But I believe you have to, that one's gotta be mounted. This one over here, you gotta bolt it in with the tailgate. So let's go outside and check the inventory here. Nope, those tailgate hinges are way different. Okay, now if you're familiar, that 8 inches forward is all new. So keep that in consideration. And there was, you can still see a little mark here. That one's not bad. That one's still kind of see, but then spot welds, man, you can't even, there you go. You can see them now, spot welds. So I'm gonna go back over that with the putty and fill those in just a little bit, but those are all in, which is perfect because you can fill in those ones pretty easily. And I think as this stuff's starting to set, it's really doing a good job. But this side looks honestly great. Down here's a bunch of spot welds, and I just wanted to see what the high build would try to do to that. And it did okay, but there's a little dinger right there. So this side, realistically, not that big a deal. It's very close. Well, we had to turn the truck around, so brought her out. Body, I'm pretty happy with it. After seeing how this turned out, pretty dang happy with where the body sits. We got to hit it with some normal primer, not the high build. We got our work cut out for us. We need to have this truck done. Honestly, I'd like to say within the next 60 days. But it's nice to see it out here and cleaned off. They call it custom for a reason. Stuff does not just go right together like it was designed to. But we're trying to make the most of it. I'm taking a late second gen 4-wheel drive shifter and putting it on the trans tunnel of this truck. It is going to be tight, but we're going to try to make it work before we put the hump back on there. And, well, we got a couple other goodies, but this little project right here is very time consuming, fitment issues, but we're getting it working. Well, here's progress on the Sweptline. That is windshield wiper motor right there. That is a power for it. I had to extend that. Ran the grommet. Trying to button up all the holes in the firewall I don't need. That's AC drain. Those are mounting. There's your evaporator routing, heater core. A bunch of these little ones I need to go back over it and fill it. With a build like this, there's so much little things and attention to detail I'm trying to tackle and make right, such as, well, we need to put the trans tunnel on there, cover that up, put a hole for the shifters, both the 4-wheel drive and the 5-speed. And while we're there, might as well fill all the holes in the firewall, make that good and ready, paint it, and I also will go back through and put a bunch of insulation on there. There is also insulation underneath the trans tunnel hump cover, or the trans cover, I don't know what you'd call that. It's just the transmission tunnel comes off there on these older rigs, which is super handy and makes life a lot easier. But little details they didn't notice is each one of those I welded up the hole for the bolts for the trans tunnel, and I put a rib nut in each one of those things. Just details and hours and hours and hours that you just will never know or never see. Also, I went ahead and put a square hole in the top of the trans tunnel. You notice I got a round peg sticking through it. Why is that? It's because, well, we got an updated MV4500 we're about to slam in the truck. Alright, speak of the devil. I was saying Andrew was coming down with NV5600 to go in the sport truck, which is on the V-Belt channel. This will go on the other channel, so you get a feature on the mini channel now. But we don't remember which one. Well, one of these is original trans out of my dad's 01, and then I got one of the others off of Craigslist like 10 years ago. Had him rebuild both of them. He was in town, helped me with the other one. He was coming back through town, grabbed some stuff, and he's like, hey, you want to swap it out? So this trans realistically isn't bad at all. It's got the early style, very, very annoying style shifter tower.
Round top?
Mm-hmm. But we got all kinds of real estate down here to dance. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit, and for a 66 truck, the floors are actually holding up pretty good. But check it out. You're a fan of this South Bend, the single disc, and that's not a big shaft, right?
Nope, it's 1.25 inch.
Okay, cool. That would have been shitty, wouldn't it?
I didn't put anything with 3/8 on it.
No. So that's a big win right there, because I had, how's the throwout bearing feel on that thing? We got any throwout bearing to throw on it?
Mediocre.
Mediocre? Well, we'll swap the old girl.
That's not bad. That's good. This is pretty low. Look, all the regular assembly loops still in there.
In case I edit it tonight. Look how nice it looks underneath there.
Don't look at all the scratches.
Oh yeah, from this camera angle you can't tell. Somebody might have drug it on the ground like an idiot. So we got the nice clutch in there unexpectedly. I happened to put hydraulics on it. They were upgraded, but I need to do 4-wheel drive shifter linkage yet, so that's why the front drive's still off. Plus it gives an opportunity to see that work of art of the paint job, let alone the interior.
Yeah, square top conversion too should make it feel.
Oh yeah. So this is the bracket that I had to make to offset the 4-wheel drive shifter from the top down to the bottom. It needed to extend out 3.5 inches, and I tried to reinforce it a little bit so that it couldn't twist. That bolt goes all the way through the round, or the square stock, and the nut is actually welded on the back side. I did have to extend the leverage on the T-case lever just a little bit because it was a little too much for that bad boy to manipulate. I didn't have footage of that. We're just trying to get stuff done. Next step we are working on is the bumper. I actually got a truck from my buddy, mainly got the whole truck because it had this bumper on the front. So we're going to fix this rig up, and yeah, I'm hoping this bumper works out good because I don't have a plan B for the front bumper. Well, 1966 is meeting 1997. Well, 99? Yeah, 99, this part. 97, 97. We have this to go for the other side. I'll show you that real quick. We need to make the piece that's going to blend these two together. So we'll either go black or we're going to go wood grain. So let me show you what this used to look like. This is off another 97, the four-wheel drive indicator lights, and the weight to start, I don't remember. It's been so long since I drove one of these. I do still have grandma's truck, but anyway, you see how it used to have this? Simply just took that off because we don't need it to be tilted. It needs to be flat. So that's what it used to look like. I need my metal bezel, and then we can install that. But so we made this piece of plexi on a laser. It's got a black piece right there, or else it would just look kind of goofy. And then it's got the clear. You can either go back like that or with the wood. Well, Sand Mountain turned into quicksand, huh, Callahan? Yeah, I know, I see it. You're maxed out. Oh my God. Don't go in there no more. Don't go in there no more. It's gonna swallow you up, boy.
Like a creep, so hungover I couldn't speak. I met the creep last night, and he shook my hand in the end and said, "You ain't got to lose me. What you gonna do about it?" I'm gonna hit that bottle. Which troubles do you seek? A pure heart is the root of all weed. I bowed my head and hid my eyes, but he shook me out of my disguise and said, "You ain't gonna lose me. What you gonna do about it?"
Yep, she's coming together. There's a lot of hours into this. So I originally was going to put my, phone charger, cigarette lighter thing in here, and fog light switch just kind of covered up. But then I was like, yeah, it'll be hanging out and be ridiculous. So I'm going to put this back in there, and it wasn't going to fit because it's going to hit the climate control. So I cut a relief, and then this little guy, oops. Weld that on quick. Plenty of room. It's all nasty in there. And there's bead blaster my dad, so I'm gonna take care of it there. Here's how the old girl turned out. This has been quite the process, and I'm not even gonna apologize for not filming any of it because I'm trying to get stuff done. That's just the plain and simple of it. But we got the climate control in. We got our two vents. That's all I'm gonna have for this truck. We're gonna have the feet and everything, so that'll be good. Glove box. Oh, we left a little bit of paint on there. That's nice. I didn't even realize I got painted, but oh well. that is how it goes. I knew something was going to be weird when I opened that up, but we're good. Honestly, I hope that doesn't even get touched. But it turned out nice. Got this thing all bead blasted last night, so the inside looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that turned out pretty nice. This is going to be our new inset for the gauge cluster. It's actually upside down, so this needs to, it just needs to be flipped on the edges over here. That's the only thing that's wrong with this one. Can't do a flip-flop shebang, it's inverted. So, that's how it's going to look, but the sides don't match up. And this is a piece of 2nd gen gauge cluster. It's not quite matching up to where we need to, but we're trying. Need a couple more revisions. I wanted to do something simple like this, but my Uncle Mark decided, obviously this would go on the inside and I'll have a piece like this out here, or the factory one. But he wanted to try and Frankenstein manipulate this thing so that everything fits in there good, because a factory one, everything, this is just factory, just took that piece off. It all goes in there just fine, theoretically. But, there you go. You just can't really see some of that stuff down there, which I'm not really shifting it a lot, but that's a lot of work to do that. So, I just need another one of these made to match that and it'll be fine, but we'll see how that turns out. He's already put a lot of time and effort into it. So today, man, I cannot believe this is going to be, I'm over 100 hours deep into this dash. That's including this, reconfiguring that stuff. I don't know how much time my uncle's got into the gauge cluster, but I'm like putting this in there. That's a whole thing of its own. But I fixed the firewall up. Got this all manipulated. So I got 2 discharge vents for your face ones, because this one literally will just end up straight down onto that face vent on the left vent, and then this one will go to the right vent. And those are for defrost. So I wanted to have this started to get this thing ready. I came down here to start priming it, getting it all cleaned up so I could prime it. And then we did the new trans, and then I did floorboard stuff underneath, cleaned up all that, which is a big thing checked off, as I got the underneath all taken care of. So it was all, I cleaned it all off, and it all got painted except for right here on the edges, because it's going to be a dark colored truck, and I want to put a piece down through here once it's all done. Good bed liner, just to protect the unders. So I didn't bother getting the outside bit, because it'll get hit later. But anyway, do the trans tunnel. That was part of the firewall. Then get the shifter cut out and get the 4-wheel drive shifter installed. Then I had to build linkage for the 4-wheel drive shifter. Dude, these are all things that needed to be done. And if I didn't do them now, it would just be a loose end just hanging there. So now, theoretically, when I go around, oh yeah, and then I built the bumper. Oh my gosh. I haven't even scratched things off on the list. I'm just going to let this video run because, okay, the things that I needed to get done started off the 4-wheel drive shifter. That's what I first came down here to do. But since I was in there, I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and tackle the firewall. That's not even on the list. Did some Dynamat, moved the seat, forgot about that. Cleaned up the firewall, that was a later add-on. Hood's been bondoed, inner fender's done. Bondo rear cab, sand under the cab, and undercoated it. Fuel neck mount, oh shit. And then we catapulted into this thing, which I had this plan right here for the longest time. And this was kind of like, oh, what are we going to do for getting face vents? So that worked out good. I'm happy about that. But then how was I going to cover up the edge? You know, it's not as quite as nice as I was hoping, but it's pretty good. And that came to coating it with this vinyl. Anyway, that's 6 minutes of me talking about what's going on with the truck. I think we'll just, yeah, figure that out later. It's good to be back over here. I'm not gonna lie. This truck is a lot. It's a lot to handle because there's so much goes into it. And we're gonna catch you back up on, it's been a year since you really saw a video on this truck. Mind blowing. A lot of ideas have changed. We're going in different directions on a couple of little small elements that are actually huge. Man, this truck right here is the most time-consuming, attention to detail truck I've ever done, and there is still an enormous amount of room for improvement. But we're gonna have to just make it happen and just get the truck done. Not trying to speed up the process, but man, it's been a drawn-out process. And anybody that does these kind of builds on their own, props to you. This is, I worked on it one full winter, skipped on it for a whole year, came back to it the following winter, and let's get back to work on this truck.
Hey, yeah, let's see how you do under pressure. Oh, yeah, I've been wanting this forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me, brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra.
Boys and girls, I cannot even stress to you enough the amount of hours I put into this project, and I'm sorry, without being sorry, that it's taken me so long to get back around to it. It just, honestly, it burned me out last year. I'm not saying I speed through my projects, but I'm used to seeing, you know, progressive elements to every day when I go into any of my builds. Traditionally speaking, I just take a truck that's been parked for a couple years, get it back running, driving condition, front end, seals and stuff like that, so that it could be a good runner and be back out in circulation again. Well, this is just dabbling in so many different levels of stuff I've never even done before, but I know realistically how to do it because it's just basically merging the trucks I've always worked on into the cab of a different truck. Unfortunately enough, the cab of this rig had a lot of metal damage, dents and stuff that I had to fix, and I'll just spin it around for you. This rig, this was the better-ish side of the truck, but to think of, it had trim on the side here, so there's a bunch of holes riddled in it because that's what they did old school. That's for the Dodge symbol. You know, it slides in its holes and you got a little nut go on the back. It had a piece of trim up here. Deleted that, welded all those holes. That sounds like all simple, fine and dandy. Put a little mud over it, call it a day, on your way. Now, there was a mirror here, mirror here, mirror here, multiple bolt incisions here. There was a roof rack on the top. Just so many levels of just, we don't care. We're going to drill into this poor rig. And this was the first, honest to God, crew cab Sweptline Dodge I had ever seen in person. Like, I've never seen one before, never had known to pay attention to it. So when I got it, I was just all giddy. I was like, yeah, boy. This side, I probably should have swapped out this fender, but I didn't. I wanted to see if I could fix it. And there was a lot of heating and beating and metal work and stuff. I didn't have to do grinding, but I did have to, yeah, man, there's thousands and thousands of tinking with the hammer right here to manipulate that back into place. Only, I think, if you're really looking for it, you can actually tell where it's at. The camera picks up spray pattern of the primer, which the way that stuff went on, pretty happy. But what really burned me out on it last year is when I sprayed the high build on it, I got a new gun so I could spray the high build with a bigger tip, and I thought that was going to be enough, and I didn't need to put reducer on it. But that stuff came out like it was going to be texturizing the walls of your house. So I had to do an aggressive sand on the whole thing, but it was high build, so it did hide a lot of the stuff, but it did also throw in, you know, one color on it. It exposed a lot of stuff that I missed. Mainly the big areas were up on the cab right there, right on the top. It looked like somebody had been throwing boards on it. and it just had a wave. So that's not really in a good spot to work. Luckily the windshield's out, so I can just sit up there in the cowl and just work at it. Same thing with the back. There was quite a bit of work that I needed to do to reshape that and make it look nice. And by the time I got done doing that, and then all these small areas that this thing has just up in here, you can't get sandpaper in there worth of crap. And this up in here, trying to get that rough texture of that high build off there because I didn't use the reducer. Oh, I was worn out. So live and learn, and that was a big screw up to learn from. The high build that we put on this did use a reducer, so it's not going to take that much to go over it. It literally laid down like primer should, and I'm very happy about that. This one's going to take minimal to go back over it on this side. The other side is another story. It's not bad, but there were some areas that I actually did miss putting some mud on. It just, the high build hides a bunch of stuff when there's a bunch of stuff to hide. Bunch of little detailed dings and dents and stuff all over the place. That's why I wanted to use it. And since I had to do so much extra stuff on it, we had to reshoot the whole cab. I could have just hit a couple of key areas, but we had enough stuff, and it was fine. It worked out good in our favor. The primer I had on hand, I thought I had another fresh gallon, but this was slightly older, so it took us a little while to stir it up. It went on thick. It damn near went on like high build. But that's going to be the wrap it up summary. So as right now, it's got very low mile clutch South Bend, which I don't really like South Bend duals at all, but single disc, I've had okay experience with that. So nevertheless, it's got an upgraded clutch on it, which I'm happy about. It's got a bigger turbo on it, intake kind of stuff. The fuel's been turned up. It does have the timing turned up, so why not throw a built NV 4500 behind it? I'm stoked on that. Yeah, I can open the cab for you. I'll show you that to you because Andrew hooked me up big time from Long Range Gear, and not only did he help me install the trans, but he donated a different shifter for it. Traditionally, these things are, they would come straight out over here, the 5600s and MV 4500s. But I bent that one, and it's got a new knob on it. That's aftermarket. It's got a little bit more weight for the throw, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. It looks kind of like a G56 kind of a shifter. So, got my latch done up there, and tailgate, headlight bezels, that's going to be another project on its own, and the cowl, or I guess what you call it, I don't know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Damn, I think I honestly, the year off from this truck, I probably revived 10 trucks. They're out in circulation right now, or I got a couple of them still in the yard. But there was quite a few rigs that I knocked out, so I wasn't just sitting around doing nothing. These two are, they're high caliber builds for what I normally do. The price tag on that thing alone is, in its condition, is higher than I would sell a finished second gen Dodge for. And then this thing here, that's going to be, man, she's going to be up there if I ever decided to sell it. I'll tell you that much. But thank you guys so much for watching. You made it this far in the video. Take a guess at what color we changed it to this time, because I saw something at the car show. Taylor saw it at the car show, and she liked that color, so we're going with that. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you later. It's raining.